So I can see Anne-Marie is eating her lunch, so it's afternoon, everybody. So welcome to the final Ask the Exec of the year. It's nice to see you all. I hope you're all bearing up under the large amounts of business we're having to work through and the tough time we're in. For today on the call, I'm joined by Anne-Marie, Director of Nursing, and Becky Sutton, who's our Executive Director of Community Health Services, and with a very impressive background there, Sarah Furley, our Director of Partnership. I'm going to start off with a few summary headlines, which I haven't prepared, and then we'll move into some Q&As. And given that it's the last one of the year, and I know everyone's busy, but we'll have a bit of festive spirit as well. So hopefully we can raise a smile. In terms of headlines, as ever, to start with, a massive thank you to everybody, to you and your teams for what you're doing. It's been tough, and it's going to remain tough, isn't it? For the massive impact the recent national changes have had on all our sort of family and personal plans over the festive season, and I hope you're able to find some time yourselves, and to encourage your teams as well to take a break, regroup, and refresh for the new year. Because without getting too downbeat, I think we're all appreciating that January is going to be pretty tough. There'll be no Christmas to look forward to, and albeit the vaccines are coming, it's going to be a good number of months before we've got sufficient numbers to really start to enable us to change behaviours and change practice, and to get back to sense of normality. And again, we'll support people as much as we can to be resilient, and to find the time and space and support to do that. So that's probably the most important message, the thank you, and just reminding people about what supports are out there. The second message, just on all things COVID, I won't repeat what everybody knows is about the new variants, the tier 4, the restraints on travel and leave and stuff. We can make the best of it, and we can protect ourselves and be safe. The two hospital hubs, Queen's Medical and Sherwood Forest, remain the two vaccination sites that are up and running, and it's likely that they'll remain either the only two, bar perhaps one other that will be open before the new year. And we're still working on that with the regional team as to what's going to be up and running when. We'll keep people appraised. There is an emergent conversation nationally around equity of access, and a question around what the prioritisation order is for accessing vaccines. The Joint National Committee on Vaccines has been very clear that it's over 80s, care home residents and care home staff, and that's simply based on the risk around age-related mortality. And if you're over 80, your risk goes through the roof, and they're very clear on that. There is, very rightly arguments that you need NHS staff to be able to provide the services for everybody, and unless they're vaccinated, they're at risk, which is also true. But at the moment, that is the national policy, and that's the national priority that's been cascaded down to our system in the county, and we're one of the lead organisations in that, and NHSEI being really, really clear with us. So what is possible, though, with the current vaccine, because of the logistics around managing it and not to waste any, is that at the end of each day, there will be available slots that NHS staff can use to, forgive the phrase, to mop up the vaccine. And our staff wellbeing team are working through the risk assessments that everybody's done and the vulnerable lists, to contact staff that may be able to avail themselves of those slots. So again, we will contact you and your people, and we'll work through that. It won't be large numbers initially, and to give you some sense of scale, at the minute each of those hospital hubs is doing hundreds. We are going to be getting into the multiple thousands by January once particularly the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine arrives. So at the minute we're still very small scale, but we're being really tightly held to account on the over 80s numbers. That's probably as much as I want to say around COVID and vaccines. A reminder to everybody that if they haven't, the access for flu vaccines is still available, and that will continue into the new year too. So look out for the pop-up and mop-up clinics to get yourself and your people vaccinated against the flu. And albeit it's not yet that prevalent this year, it still could be, and getting both COVID and flu risk together is not a great place to be. So overall, the trust is doing much better in the performance than that. We're around 70%. The national target's 90. And then just to give you a bit of a teaser, which I've been told we can't tell you any more about this because it's all embargoed, that on the National Staff Survey, you know that I often go on about this as being one of the most important measures of how we're doing as an organisation. We've had some first cut returns which are embargoed, but as I'm amongst friends, I can let you know that we've done pretty well. And we've started to turn the ship round, and there'll be some really exciting news in the new year to give people a bit more detail on that, because it's down to you and your people and everyone on this call that's contributed to that. So that was a really nice email to receive yesterday, just before Christmas. So I think that's probably as much as I'd like to say by way of introduction. Alex, back to you.
Okay. The only other question that we've had that relates to COVID, and it's whether you want to say anything about it. Is it known if the new strain of COVID is in our area and impacting our patients and staff?
So I'll say what I think, and if anyone else wants to say, as usual, John, you're talking rubbish, and please interrupt. So this strain was identified back in late September, early October, and it's likely that it's far more widespread than is just being described as a London / southeast strain, and it's probably endemic amongst a lot of communities. It's at the moment, what we know is that the biggest change is that it makes it more virulent and contagious, so it's spreading much more rapidly. In terms of the impact on the disease history, there isn't any difference in terms of symptom profiles, responses to treatment, etc., although it's obviously very early stages. But just because of the sheer number increases, there will therefore be a larger proportion of people that are, or a larger number of people that are ill, need hospitalisation, and sadly die. So there are rightly lots of concerns about it. That's as much as I know. Anne-Maria, did you want to add something too?
Yeah, I was just going to add. So I was just going to mention the fact that we've known about the new strain since September. The reason that we are in a better position to understand the strain is because we do something called genome mapping across the country. And I've talked to you once before about the fact that we do have trusts across the country that have this ability to do genome mapping of the strain of virus. And that is why we know so much about it in our own country. We are ahead of the game in contrast to other countries, and that's why we know it's here, and that's why we know where it is. So it's not to say that we're the only country that's got it, it's just that we're ahead of the game in response to being able to map where it is. So I didn't want people to think, oh, we're the only ones with it. like John says, it is in amongst communities, it is widespread, and it probably is across all the countries that have decided that we're not allowed to visit them. Just to add that at the end. But no, that's as much as I'll say on that.
That's great. Thanks, Anne-Maria. We've had another question, which you'll be pleased to know is not related to COVID directly. So it's saying that this year has been a challenge to the organisation and to staff. Groups of staff have been working from home for 9 months now, and this has enabled the Trust to evaluate its use of estate. We are now starting to plan returning to Trust offices, and this is welcomed. For some staff, myself included, a combination of hot desk and home working is a sensible approach, but for others, the best model of working is fully office-based. However, the utilisation initiative requires that these people will have to book the desk that they work at day in, day out. Whilst the booking is, and we are told, not an onerous task, it does seem to lack a respect and caring for the individual. They feel devalued by this blanket approach. It would show some empathy and caring for individuals if there was a mixture of fixed desks for those people and hot desks for others who don't want to need to be in the office. The Trust has just launched its new values, and we are a mental health trust, so surely should listen to the voice of its valuable staff. Is there anything the directors could influence to improve the future work experience and mental well-being of this group?
Okay, yeah, thanks. So I'll that's a really good question. There's lots of stuff in there, isn't there, to just pick up, and then if any of my colleagues want to add things. So from a broader perspective, irrespective of where this particular team is, that it's really good point to bring this back to values, and as I've just said right at the beginning, we need to make sure we do all we can as an organisation to support all our staff in what they do. So from a broad perspective, the world changed, didn't it, almost overnight with this pandemic, and we're all able to do this, for example, now on Teams, and the way our work schedules change, the way our work life balance in terms of where we do our work from has changed, and I don't think it's going to go back to what it was like before. I think that there will be a new normal, in that we can facilitate quite significant amounts of inputs to the job role that don't need to be in traditional facilities and offices as previously. Where we need to get to, and we do need, as the questioner states, we do need to make sure that we talk to our staff and our teams about what sorts of things work and what don't work. I'd like to see us to take some time to work through a blended or mix or suite of offers, which will depend on what the team does, where the team's based, what the roles are. That will be a mix of, because there'll be some roles where working from home is the answer for almost all of the role, but it's really important for those people and those teams we maintain the link with the organisation, because there's so much about being together and teamwork that needs to be planned into a week. There'll be some roles, predominantly clinical roles, where that by definition you need to be with your clinical people doing the work with patients, and then there'll be a mix in between that will be a combination of both of those, and we need ready access to support facilities, administration, offices, and whether it's single booking, whether it's group booking, whether it's block, that is sophisticated enough to meet the needs of what's a really broad and diverse organisation. So I don't think we should be rushing to say we fixed it too soon, but at the same time we do need to get some of our people working on what works well. I don't know if anyone else wants to add anything to that.
John, it's Sarah. I don't know if you can see me or not.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, okay. So there's two bits I'd add to that. There's something for me about being able to balance what the job requires, but also somebody's health and well-being. So for some people, actually being away from the home is the right thing, and being a working environment is better for them. So there's that tension of balancing what's required for the job and then the best for the individual. And we have to balance it at a organisational level. So we're using our estate well as an organisation. We have to base it on a service level so that we're directly meeting the needs of whatever service we're providing, if that's frontline services or corporate services. And then that lower level of at an individual level, so trust, service, individual. And it's taking time to think through those separate levels, but as you bring those separate levels together, does it work? And that's how I think about it. And that does take time, doesn't it, to work that out? So from an individual level, that's a conversation with your line manager. But when you get to service and trust level, that's a much wider conversation. That's how I think about it, John.
Great, thanks, Sarah.
Excellent. Neil has, I don't know if you can see Neil's comment that he's put in there. Interestingly, although largely working in my attic, my wife complains that I don't get home earlier than when I did when I travelled to DMH on a daily basis. On the other hand, it does mean that I can take my son to school in the morning and still get back to the office in time for 9 a.m. meetings, which is great because I'm thinking about the flexibility that's then on offer for people.
Well, that's a really two really good points there, aren't there, Neil? Thanks for contributing. That when I sort of use the term the world's changing, you look back and think, why did we always conform with for non-clinical particularly the 9 to 5? Everybody's on the road at the same time, and it doesn't enable people with children other tasks to do, to get to help their day-to-day lives and other things they need to do. And if we can be much more flexible about our working arrangements, that so you could start a bit earlier, finish earlier, start later, etc. And if we get the flexibilities right about working from home, I think it could be a real boon to so many people. And it's good, Neil, that that your wife still wants you home. She's missing you. There's a good point there as well from Mary, Alex. I don't know if we want to come on to that, because that's a good question. It's a separate one. I don't know if there's anything more related on this.
Absolutely. So Mary has asked, in the interest of avoiding COVID for a minute, are there any big trust plans for 2021 that you are excited for and can let us know about? That seems great.
Shall we go around? We'll go around the team. So I can kick off. So I'm really excited about being able to talk in detail about the results of the National Staff Survey, because that is really going to launch us on the next stage of the transformation and getting this trust to be in one of the best in the country. And these initial improvements set the course for that. We can't get to where we need to be without being at base camp. So that not being complacent, there's still an awful lot to do, but I'm really excited about that. And the other things I'm excited about, I'm really excited about Sherwood Oaks. So the mental health projects, the new unit we've bought up near Mansfield, which will enable roughly 116 dormitory beds to be transformed into single room ensuite facilities for working age and older adults. And there's a whole capital plan around refurbishing Sherwood Oaks into an open unit and Millbrook into an older adults unit over the next 2 or 3 years. So it's a massive investment, a massive piece of work. But at the end of the day, patients will get better environments, better experience, and staff will have better environments to work in too. So that's a really big project too that I'm really pleased about. I'm not only I'm not missing out community and forensic, but that's my a couple of things I'm looking forward to. Who's going to go next?
I'll go.
Go on then.
I've got a couple of things, two things. I'm looking forward to changing, getting our CQC rating change so that the outside world knows how fabulous we are, because we already knew we are. And I believe in this trust. I believe that we are in a much better position than the papers and the documents and the reports currently say, because it was done so long ago. And there's been such fantastic achievements over the last 18 months, 2 years. And then the second thing I think I'm looking forward to is I would like the chance to read more of the books of brilliance. So all the teams have been doing a book of brilliance, and they've been putting and adding in and catching up. Oh, look, you see, John's got it up there for me. And the stories in there are unbelievable. They are heartwarming. They are generous. They're just everything you would ever want from staff that work in the NHS. So I would like the opportunity to read more of those. And then what I would like is for us to start putting in for more awards, because I think that we are an award-winning organisation, and I think we need some more recognition for the staff that are doing a fantastic job. So I think it's about getting some support for putting in more awards. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Do you want me to go next?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting a 5-year strategy for this organisation that we have all contributed to, so we can all see where we're going in the next 5 years. And then the second thing that I'm really looking forward to is I think this trust is brilliant at quietly getting on with innovative ways of working, and I think we're really good at partnership working as well, sort of, you know, out there in the community. So what I'm really looking forward to next year is making all that transparent, like Anne-Maria has just said, but actually pushing that further so that we become more leaders in that area, because some of the execs, we heard the phrase sleeping giant, and that really had a resonance with me. This organisation described as a sleeping giant, and it would be great next year if this organisation actually came out of that slumber and was seen next year. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Thank you. Becky, you got now a chance to do the community health bit, which I didn't.
Thank you, John. I might talk about something different. So I'm looking forward to being here for a bit longer. So I think the bit for me is, and probably on that, is engaging more staff, whether that be within the division, but across the trust as well. So I'm conscious I've only been here 12 weeks. I've met a lot of people via a screen. So I'm looking forward to doing that face-to-face a bit more. But I'm also looking forward to, particularly in community health services, get round a lot more of the teams, do a lot more staff engagement between the teams, and also shout a bit more about what community services does within the organisation and outside. And I think that also leads on from Sarah's point that I think there's already lots of excellent work already going on with our system partners, but I also think there's lots more we can do. So I'm really excited to take community services on a transformation programme with some of our partners, because I think we can I think what we do is great, but I think what we could do is even better, and get more people home from hospital or keep them at home. And we do loads of that already, but I think there's lots more we can do. So I'm really excited. And probably to do other things than COVID. I'd quite like to see the back end of that now.
Yeah, I think we all could, couldn't we? It's yeah, keep going. Right, Alex, what else is there?
Yeah, just, I suppose, kind of linked to that, but how do you feel the NHS has excelled in the pandemic? And that's from Andy Pete. So what really good things have happened?
Hi Andy, thanks for your question. Nice to hear from you. Well, I think I hope it's self-evident. It's a national treasure at the NHS. Most people love it, and I think it's exhibited its finest colours over the last 9 months. We worry, don't we, for its existence, and that it's on its knees and it can't take any more. But it's absolutely knocked out of the park a response to the pandemic, and it's revealed itself in its true colours, and staff have been phenomenal. I was lucky enough to get up to Millbrook yesterday and pay unfortunately a very fleeting visit to the wards and the crisis teams up there. But wherever you turn, staff are working their socks off, and I've got caring for patients at the centre of what they're doing and managing all sorts of challenges. I think it's been amazing, and it's proud to be part of it. So I that's probably quite a generic answer, but I think it's what the NHS does, doesn't it? Anyone else?
No. Thinking more about the trust, can you tell us more about the branding and what it means to you? The new branding.
Okay, well, I'll start, and then because I've talked a little bit about this before. Then if someone else wants to join, but I think the most important thing about branding, and here speaks someone who's, as you can tell, not an expert on anything to do with branding, because there's quite a lot of guff talked about it, I think, and you need to keep it simple, and you need to keep it recognisable to all the staff that can sort of see it and know what it's about. So I'm looking at my fancy phone, and it's got a little dial that says "Making a Difference," with that sort of pentagon of the people holding joined up, and it speaks to me to our values. It's what we're here for: make a difference to people's lives, to provide great environments for staff to work in, to help support staff develop themselves, and the trust and respect and compassion should flow through us. So you can see behind Anne-Maria those candy sticks. If you were to cut it in half, those values I think will be true to us, and we know that they are because we did a brilliant piece of work across the organisation, and staff contributed to that. And the branding, put it in its simplest form, should be really an evocation of that. That sort of is a visual of why we're here.
Excellent. Does anybody want to say anything else?
They're so quiet, aren't they?
I'll say something, because I think for me, and I know I did a piece last week, seeing the values coming into the organisation, I think is something that resonates with you personally. So I think, when I saw that branding as an individual, that's an organisation I want to work for. And actually, the making a difference, I think that's the reason why we all came into the NHS and we've stayed here, because actually that's all any of us really want to do, is to make a difference, whether that be in the levels we're at now through staff to then deliver that to patients. But actually, I think it is about keeping it simple, and it's something that's really relatable. And I think actually we can draw a lot of people into the organisation by stating it quite simply. That's what we're here to do. And it's then how we align everything, isn't it? So yes, they're simple words, but if we're really true to it, we recruit people with those values. That's how we work with each other. That's almost, that, as John said, the core that runs through us and the way we do business. So I think you can brand it out into all sorts that you like, but actually for me it's why I came into the NHS, and it resonates really.
Thank you.
Alex, there's a question in the chat around from Neil around Brexit, which I don't know if you've spotted.
Absolutely. So Neil has asked, do we have any inkling as to whether there are going to be any unforeseen consequences as a result of the dreaded Brexit? Neil's words.
Yeah, so being apolitical, I couldn't possibly comment on the inverted commas dreaded part of that, of course. So we're really well sighted on the national picture with regard to Brexit. So on behalf of the organisation, Alison Wilde, Director of Finance, sits on a regular calls with the regional team, which is linked to the national team. I think there's a national webinar, I think this afternoon or tomorrow, given the latest update. At the moment, they're saying that there's nothing emergent that's of an immediate concern. There are, I think, some short to medium term issues in as much that we don't know, do we, yet, about whether there'll be a deal or not. But the message is clear that even if there is a deal, there will be some issues around imports, and then potential issues with supply of the things that are most likely to affect the NHS are medicines and medical related devices. But at the moment, nothing is flagging to be a serious issue. That's obviously kept under regular review and a situation that may change. But at the moment, apparently there isn't any lettuce, and a whole load of barcode scanners are stuck in Holland. So Anne-Maria has been tasked to sort that out, because there is an element of Dutch heritage in Anne-Maria's family. Joking aside, that's the latest summary, and we'll obviously keep people updated.
John, the only thing just to add to that is obviously this time of year things are going to change really rapidly. So as a trust, what we've planned to do is, if anything happens and we get any of those shortages through the holiday period, we're going to manage it through the incident control team that come together every day about midday. So that'll be the way of managing it if anything happens over the next fortnight or so.
Catherine has asked for the whole country, and I'm not sure if does that relate, Catherine, to the issue of lettuces or barcode scanners? Oh, I see. Oh, are you sorting it for the whole country, Anne-Maria?
Oh, I love Catherine. She's absolutely brilliant. So yeah, I'm on it for the whole country, not just the trust, because we're in this together. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Just wanted to highlight the thanks that Robert Mookin had given to Sarah with regards to to asking the BME network with regards to this trust strategy, and I know that there's a lot, as you've said already, Sarah, there's a lot more work that's planned for next year around that, but just wanted to highlight that. And just a very very final question that's been asked, unless there's anything else that you want to say, but are you having any time off over Christmas? Are you and to look after your own health and well-being?
Yeah, so I got asked that in executive team this morning. So I'm off until March, and I've banned any leave from the rest of the executive team who are all perfectly able to manage things. Bye. Yeah, I've got a few days. It's important, isn't it? I said at the top of the show that you need to take time. We all need to take time to wind down and put the phone and the laptops to one side and be with our family and friends. And we should all try and get that whilst we can. A massive thanks out to people that are continuing to work, particularly over the bank holidays and the weekends, to keep all our 24/7 services going and all the support bits that are related to that. We will need to keep a weather eye on the vaccine front, and we'll need to keep a weather eye on the COVID rates and outbreaks. They're probably the two dials on the dashboard that are most active at the moment.
Okay. Thank you. Does anybody else want to talk about the whether they're off?
I've taken a day, yes, and but I'm working the rest of it. I just feel that I'll be honest. I'll tell you why I'm working through it, because I feel so strongly that the infection prevention control team have worked over and above. And I know I shouldn't necessarily highlight one team, because I think everybody's done an unbelievable job over the last year. So everybody's worked hard, but because the IPC team are under me, I feel that their response to COVID and the outbreaks has been unbelievable, and they've been doing so many additional hours and weekends and coming in the middle of the night to do audits and spot checks on PPE and giving so much advice out, that I felt if they could have a bit of a break, I'll cover off all the IPC stuff. And as the Director of Infection Prevention and Control, which is what I am, I'm the DIPSI, there's an element that really I need to be around just while it's difficult. And I will most definitely take a week off in February. So I'm looking forward to my week off in February. But originally we were told that Christmas and New Year might be horrendous. It's not as bad as we'd expected, and our COVID outbreaks are settling down to what they were. So I just felt it was important just to hang around.
Thank you. And Neil's just added, a friend of mine who is a former director of finance tells me that the benefit of retirement from the NHS is that you don't have to take your mobile phone to the beach in Spain.
If only I was so lucky to get to Spain.
Yeah. That may be a wee while.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share or highlight? Is there anything around flu, Anne-Maria, that you'd like to?
Oh, I always love to talk about flu, and I can't believe you've given me the chance to talk about it. So I just want to say a massive, I'm going to repeat last week's. Honestly, you've all done amazing. Thank you so much. We are now up to 70%. And I never thought in a million years we'd get there, because we were such a slow starter, but you've all done a brilliant job. I know that I sent a bit of a hard hitting message out yesterday. I understand that, and to a degree there's an apology for that, but I wanted to give the message that it's important for all staff to have this jab vaccine. And I saw a really interesting thing about not calling it a jab, which I do actually agree with. But I think that it's important for people to understand that if you get COVID and flu at the same time, your chances are so much lowered, and you really are in a difficult position. And so I just feel that it's important for us to do our bit, our job, to keep as many people protected and safe as we possibly can. It's a little thing that we can do in this at this difficult, challenging time. So yeah, 70%, well done everybody. But please keep going. There are clinics, they're on Connect, and we sent them out. There's some clinic dates that were sent out in John Brewin's message yesterday as well.
Excellent, thank you. And Sarah has added, as a trust, we've now done 11,000 lateral flow tests, which is great too. Excellent. Is there anything you want to say further about that, Sarah?
So just to say, thanks, Sarah, for reminding us that that's a great piece of work as well, and I think it's landed well within the organisation. I think staff are finding it helpful. It's enabled us to identify a number who were asymptomatic, and we've caught those much sooner than we would have ordinarily, so reduced outbreaks and spread. So it's a good thing to be doing. The next deliveries, I think, are due in January if people start to worry about running out. Please make sure that we encourage you to log on your results. We've got a bit of a lag in the number that have been done or that have been distributed and the responses back, but it's been brilliant, and it's a really important part of our armoury of managing the virus. I was going to say something really important. I was just to briefly tell you a story about NHS England improvement regional meetings, getting sort of some fairly hefty feedback on a regular basis at the moment from the regional team about things that we haven't done well. And Anne-Maria will be fully aware that on that list had been flu. I emphasise negative, the past tense on that. And so before I go in, Anne-Maria, what's the latest? What's the score? And it was 62% or something. a couple of weeks ago, and I went, oh no, only 62. It was that week before. So I went into the meeting thinking, oh, this isn't going to land well. What am I going to say? And the regional team had got a different set of numbers, and they said, oh, John, you're not healthcare, done quite well. You're at 71 now. And I'm thinking, do I tell him that he's reading the wrong column, or do I just sort of say nothing and take the applause? So I was thinking, So I said, oh, thanks very much, sir. 71, great. We've done really well. And then the report this week, I think it was 69. So I'm saying to Anne-Maria, how come we've gone down? because you made up the wrong figures last time.
I just said to her, he's got to stop making up the numbers.
But we are at 70 and a bit, so that is brilliant. And thank you to everybody that's got involved in that, because that's it's we don't do it for the reason that to keep the region happy. We do it for the reason because it's the right thing to do for our staff and patients. So it's a great place to be.
Oh, that's great. Thank you ever so much. Is there anything else you want to say, John, before we?
There's nothing else I want to say other than I wish everybody a happy Christmas. I hope you're able to make the best of it you can. Try and get some time out. And on these calls, we'll see you in the new year. Thank you for what you're doing.
Excellent. And Tracy has added in heading to 72%.
I just seen that. That's really good. You're allowed to quote that number, John. That
All right,
number.
I'll write it down so I don't forget.
Don't be making it up again.
Did you say 77?
72.
Happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, happy Christmas.
Thank you ever so much.
We all done?
Yeah, take care. Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.